Jeffrey, gotta name drop Lexi and say it's one of her favoriteest movies when she was a kid.
Yeah. What movie?
This one.
This one?
You dick sucker.
We need to take you to like a fortune teller.
What? To find out that he's haunted?
No, the house in Cape Cod is haunted.
I'm starting to realize you are.
What is this, Insidious Part 5?
Yeah.
Jai-ho my ball sack, both of you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the show. We are your hosts, Colin Peters.
Master Shredder here.
Yeah, you missed one episode. I didn't even get to insult you last time. And here you already start off being a dick?
See? As I keep saying over and over again, I like to keep my enemies confused. I gave you a break for the last month and a half, so here I come back.
That's your fault, not mine. You went to the haunted house.
I can't help it if that's what I was referred to as a kid. Shredder.
Oh my gosh.
Now I really do want to fight you.
My last name kind of sounds like it, doesn't it?
It does, actually. Reshetter.
Oh, I was thinking trash, because...
Oh,
There's other versions, and I just have to say, not impressed. I've heard it all, so you can't fucking surprise me. By the way, introduce yourself.
Everyone knows who I am at this point. Jeff Manfred.
some things never change. And let's hope these don't. Good times.
Yeah.
Well, boys, I don't know about you, but I was so excited to talk about this movie. I even outdid John in the notes, because I was so pumped about talking about this.
I broke out the parchment paper and everything.
I did. The Elder Scroll.
He actually unrolled it. I'm looking at this as it's rolling across the floor. Like, what the fuck is he doing?
I even had the feather and ink, and I wrote it out like that, because this movie goes back old school for us. Seriously, this is a movie that has been a huge part of our childhood, and this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990.
31 years.
31 years, man. And look how amazing this movie still holds up to this day. It's an incredible piece of cinema. I burned the shit out of this VHS just along with Batman 89. I mean, Batman 89 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 are easily my top two favorite movies of all time. Sometimes they're neck and neck, but I still think Batman gets the slight edge to it. I was a huge fan of the cartoon. Mm-hmm. Like every other kid that was, growing up around our age group. I mean, Turtles still hold a huge part in my heart. I still love this movie to this day. It's so impactful, and it's even inspiring to me as a filmmaker, because I just feel like this movie has so much that goes into it. For an hour and a half, the pacing is very well done. It tells a great story. There's a lot of emotional tug and pull in it, some interesting trivia, and furthermore, the effects in it, especially with the costumes, are unbelievably amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, they have their flaws. I know the biggest one is how, I guess you can see the actor in Donatello's mouth in one scene, where he laughs and then you see the actor's mouth. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's a little alien, but
did a turtle just eat you there, buddy?
Yeah, right.
You're trying to come out.
Honestly, when I was looking into it, the fact that they got Jim Henson to do it, that was actually the biggest part of that budget, was getting Jim Henson to do the puppetry.
I saw, or I heard, I should say, Judith Hoag, who plays April O'Neil in the movie, in 2020, with all the COVID stuff, she was actually putting a lot of TMNT stuff up on her YouTube channel.
Oh, wow.
That's nice.
And they had the 30th anniversary. I do recommend anybody to go to Judith Hoag's YouTube channel and check it out. She had a script reading of all the main cast, the actors who were in the turtle outfits. They all came and did the script reading of the characters. They did the movie. I don't think it was the whole movie, or they just edited it down to make it a little condensed. That was really cool. I thought they would have done a little more behind the scenes stuff, but she did do interviews with Ernie Reyes Jr., who was actually Keno in Ninja Turtles 2. But he was one of the stuntmen who was Donatello in the first movie. And he was only like 17 or something when he did the first Ninja Turtles. And then the stuntman for Raphael, he had a real interesting story, and he was on that same episode with her, and they talked about some behind-the-scenes stuff as well.
Okay.
And she's got some really interesting things on there. But anyway, she was the one who said that the budget was $6 million for the movie, and I think $2 million for marketing. So you're looking at $8 million in total for this film. And what blows my mind to this day is, this is an independent movie.
Yes, it was. Indeed. I don't think any studio wanted any part of it.
Ninja Turtles is an interesting franchise in general. It started pretty much as a joke, where it was a comic book concept that wasn't taken seriously by creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. And they said, this comic book's not going to sell. It goes out, it sells. And then they came out with the toys. The toys came before the cartoon.
Okay.
And they said these toys aren't going to sell. They sold. And then they came out with a cartoon. They said this cartoon isn't going to go anywhere. Cartoon became a phenomenon.
Oh yeah, like each step of the way. So like that first issue that Peter and Kevin did, they only did I think like 3,000 issues. That was the first run, and it was totally different, like size-wise regular comics. And as you're like looking into it, each panel they took from like Frank Miller. I forgot, they like actually talked about Jack Kirby was another one. They used panels like that, but had the turtles in those poses, the lighting, everything, just because they were fans of those artists. They were like, cool, we'll do this. And as you like reading the first issue, you start realizing, yeah, like it's a parody of all that stuff coming through. And like, yeah, dude, giant turtles fighting,
radioactive ooze.
Yeah,
they become superhuman.
And it was supposed to be how turtles were so slow and like melodic that here they are, ninja fast lightning skills, and the shredder was actually just a concept where apparently they were screwing around with like cheese graters and kitchen things, and were like, oh hey, what about it?
Helmet design. Like, what if you imagine a villain covered in blades, and they actually like wanted to call him the Grater as the original name for this character? Like, how about the Shredder? And that just rang better with the creators.
But the funny thing is, they only were going to do one issue. They killed Shredder off in the beginning.
They do.
They did.
And then when they're like, well, what are you guys going to do for a second issue? They're like, we never expected to get this far. So it's like...
We haven't brought back.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even do that. They just continued. They brought in all the other characters we now know. So you got...
Like the Fugitoid, the Triceratons.
The Mousers. I'm trying... Like, as I'm doing motions.
You do like a Pac-Man motion.
Yeah. He's Italian, you know.
So it was like cool seeing them do that. Like, I was surprised that like in issue 2 is when they brought Baxter in. I'm like, oh, so you guys already were planning. I think the first whole run was like 7 issues altogether, but it was really popular. So by the time the toys came out and the cartoon, everybody who was fans of the comic were already kind of jumping on. And then when the movie came out, like he said, like everyone didn't expect it to sell, and like he's trying to ship it, like their manager, I guess, was like, all right, ship it out like a rubber, I think it was a Raphael toy. He's like, oh, check this out, we're going to do a movie about this, and people like, what the fuck is this? I think it was, New Line Cinemas that actually picked it up.
They picked it up.
The house that Freddy built.
Yeah, and I'm like, that was the biggest surprise, because I keep forgetting that New Line was a big company at that time.
They were just growing. They were still, like, on that verge of becoming a non-independent studio at that time, I think. And this was actually one of the highest grossing movies, or no, it was the highest grossing independent movie of all time at one point. Which is why I hear the argument to this day, how comes it never has this special release where there's special documentaries and 4K release? I mean, it took so long for it to come out on DVD. I remember because I wanted to watch it so bad on DVD. Because like I said, I burned the VHS and I still watched it hardcore.
Yeah.
I did too.
I mean, like, it took forever to get it on Blu-ray, and we got one box set. Like, we haven't seen anything since.
Exactly.
And it's even few and far in between to find that one.
Talking about the hit, because the comics came out in 1984, ironically the same year that A Nightmare on Elm Street came out as well. I think according to Box Office Mojo, this movie was made for, I think you said, did you say $8 million?
Yeah, altogether it was $8 million.
Altogether, because I thought it was a little bit more than that. Maybe with marketing it came to like 13 million, I think, or so. Maybe it was a little bit less.
From
than
what
that.
I heard Judith Hogue say, she just said $6 million for a budget and $8 million for marketing.
For marketing. Okay, so 14 around the ballpark, but it ended up grossing 200 million worldwide. So yeah, it's a pretty big hit. But the one thing, rewatching this movie again, like we've been saying, no one really wanted to give this movie a chance, but they really did try with this movie, and they really did put the effort in, especially with the production design. Roy Ford Smith, he definitely took inspiration, or at least had to have taken inspiration from Batman, as you mentioned, because he wanted to capture like the back alleys of the dirty streets of New York, the sewers. That had to have played an effect in seeing Batman beforehand and then translating that maybe to this movie.
There are a lot of strange correlations with Batman '89, like how they said that the TV show was campy, and then they went to the dark, serious comic book movie, and people were surprised because it was like, oh damn, we got a dark Batman here, and then the comic books for Batman were dark originally as well. Well, the comic books for Ninja Turtles were dark, and then the cartoon series came out and was like campy and fun-hearted, family-friendly.
Kid-friendly, yeah.
And then this movie came out and was like, whoa.
There is actually a panel, if you look at it, it's Shredder's fucking arm being ripped off. And I'm like, wait, did they just do this? And that's when I found out they killed Shredder off. And I'm like, how the fuck do you kill the main villain off? And they're like, oh, obviously.
Well, also, I believe in the comic books, it's really Oroku Saki's brother is Shredder.
Yes,
it's not actually...
Well, I heard the story was like Oroku Nagi, his brother, was killed by...
Leonardo.
Was Leonardo? I thought it was...
Well, Leonardo kills him at the end.
Splinter Sensei killed the brother of Oroku Saki.
I have it. It's been a while since I read it, but yeah, it's something like that.
Hamato Yoshi, I think that's Splinter Sensei who killed Oroku Saki's brother, Oroku Nagi. And then Oroku Saki rose through the ranks of the Foot Clan, and eventually he became the leader of the American version of the Foot Clan in New York. And his plan was to basically head this division and then wreak revenge on Splinter and the Turtles.
Yeah, I mean, I can't confirm or deny that, but I believe you.
But I mean, in the movie, that's kind of why Shredder kills the Sensei, because isn't that in the movie?
No. In the movie, what happens is Hamato Yoshi is in love with Tang Shin.
That's right.
And Oroku Saki was a rival to Hamato Yoshi, and he was also in love with Tang Shin as well. And then when Hamato Yoshi and Tang Shin moved to New York with Splinter, Shredder followed them and killed them both.
Right.
And then that's when Splinter escaped from the cage, and he attacked Shredder. And then when he threw him down, he swiped his ear off.
Gotcha. And then that's kind of why he wears the mask, to cover up the scar on his face.
Because the mask was really just an aesthetic. It wasn't ever to like cover his face in the comic book or in the cartoon. And it was always Oroku Saki, like in the movie and the cartoon. Nothing about a brother was ever said.
No.
Okay.
And then even now in the current comics, it's always been a rivalry between Splinter and Shredder, even back when he was human. Like, Splinter was human eventually, who got turned into a rat, where the movie, he's a rat that becomes smart.
Kazoos.
Grows old and wise, and is the father of 4 radioactive turtles that are 180 pounds.
Yep. You were surprised to find out about that.
I expected these things to weigh 250 plus because of the damn shells that they have on their back.
Michael Bay's version, probably.
Oh, God.
Fuck that movie.
If you think about it, they were supposed to be like 5 foot, and now in the 90s movie, I'm talking about Michael Bay, they're like 6-something, because obviously, no, they're not going to get a bunch of, I want to say midgets, to wear the suits, but it kind of fits, because like now they're actually the same height as most of the actors that they're playing with, so it like makes more of a real feel to it. They already look real, it's just now you're giving them more of a feel like, hey, they are about it.
Oh, speaking of that, I think I do have a lot of nostalgia and a lot of love for these characters. I may have not been the biggest fan of TMNT growing up, but I did have some of the toys, and I did watch the movies. Stop giving me the middle fingers, okay? Because there were other things that were coming out that just kind of took over that I appreciated a little bit more than TMNT. They're not the height of my pinnacle, but it doesn't help that Michael Bay's movies kind of trashed everything, especially everybody's childhood dreams of seeing a really good TMNT movie in the 2000s, and he digitized all the turtles and just kind of shat all over everybody.
Yeah.
Not to mention, the biggest killer for me was turning Shredder into a robot. That's pretty much what he was in those fucking movies. He's not a person.
Well,
he doesn't have a backstory.
Well, that's kind of what happened to him in that 2003 version, too. The cartoon.
Yeah.
When they brought him back, they made Shredder into like a robot that was the Krang Brain. They call it a neutron.
Yeah, I can't think of the actual name, but yeah, he took some of the source material and like they altered it as they're going through time. Like we're on the fourth incarnation of the cartoons, fourth or fifth. Like it's kind of crazy because they have a baby version right now too. Don't ask why I know.
Why you know, Jeff?
Because I can't help myself. I'm watching it. But like if you look at it, like there's a lot of stuff they try to pull from the source material. Obviously, they're gonna be like, well, let's make it bigger, grander. We don't need all that. We don't need all the bells and whistles sometimes. For this, gave you exactly what you needed. So you got the Turtles, you got Splinter, you got April. They're going to Shredder and the Foot Clan. That's all we need sometimes. We don't need to be like, well, some elaborate fucking monster's going to come out of nowhere. Fuck, man.
I just want to say real quick, too, that originally the turtle masks were all red. It wasn't until the toys came out to tell a difference that they started changing it, and that's why you got the multiple colors.
That was a smart idea.
Yeah, because then you're just buying the same toy. Exactly. I mean, I think they did change the different colors of the green on them, too, as well, and that's another reason why. So the toys actually played a big part in that, because I remember seeing that when I was a kid. I was like, they're all red.
Yeah.
The Raphael's supposed to be red, but that was just the way it was originally.
But now you associate those colors with the personalities of the turtles.
Exactly.
Like you are able to point out who's who. Michelangelo wears the orange, and he loves pizza. He loves telling the jokes. Leonardo with blue, he's the leader. Donatello, the brains, purple, and then Raphael, the rogue, who's red.
And now going back to what Jeff was saying about just putting the basics into this first movie was like a really wonderful combination, again, going back to like Batman 89, where you got a little bit of an origin story, but it just gives you enough of a background to go, okay, this is what happened, this is how they got started, I should say. And then it just takes off and running. It's almost like how you can have a whole movie that's an origin story and then the sequel just like takes off and progresses and you're like, oh wow, maybe the sequel's better than the origin. So it kind of has that wonderful combo where you get just enough to get a little kickstart on something and you're just on this roller coaster ride. Also, we got Casey Jones in it.
Yeah. We forgot to mention him, yes.
There are a lot of things with that movie. Like, instead of being an origin story, it's more of like flashes. So you get a flash of Splinter and his master. You're getting the turtles kind of crawling into the ooze. So it was like kind of a cool concept just seeing it like quick flashes because like at the time they didn't have the money to like make it elaborate. Yeah. And honestly, it probably made this movie better.
Not to mention their turtles' first words, pizza. Oh, man.
Listen,
yeah, Casey Jones. Can we just talk about how awesome that name is, too, for the actor? Elias Koteas? Elias. I don't know any Eliases except him.
There's Eli Manning. Eli might be short for Elias.
That's probably is, but I don't know.
I don't
call him Elias Manning.
Maybe
probably should.
Yeah.
You're Elias.
Maybe it's short for Elijah, too. I don't know.
Could be. I don't really follow Eli Manning that much. I'm not a fan of the Giants.
Neither am I. Also, the story about this movie follows the comic books pretty well as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, they do fight Shredder at the end of the comic book on a rooftop. The way Casey Jones is introduced is with Raph at a park.
But the main difference between the Casey Jones in the comic and the movie is, essentially he was kind of mirrored after like Stallone and Arnold, like a big beefy dude with a mask on. And I'm like, when you get Elias, it's like, oh, he's like a normal guy.
I prefer that normal guy look.
He had a bit of an athletic build. I mean, he just wasn't like super jacked, but it was also like a comic book form, to look super huge. And I know that in the cartoon he tried to sound like Clint Eastwood, but he sounded so dumb. You little punks. We're not punks, we're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that's supposed to be better?
No, I'm just saying, could you imagine Stallone or Arnold doing that?
No.
I don't want to.
Look, you got the turtle.
Hey, yo, why you wear all the green makeup?
What I imagine is Casey Jones just picking up Shredder at that point, just like elbow dropping him.
Hey, oh, I never looked at another man before. What, you saying I'm afraid?
I'm the law. You betrayed the turtles.
The Foot Clan, they come over and we gotta kick their ass, you know? Yo, Adrian!
Yo, April!
Yo, April!
I did it! Missed opportunity.
No.
No.
No, they did everything right in this movie. Which is another shocking thing, because this movie was trashed by critics. Absolutely trashed by them.
Some of them did change their mind as the years went on, as it just grew to be more popular and grew to be more appreciated.
You know what?
Time,
that's
yes.
part of the thing that bothers me, is just because I feel like some of them might notice it and say, you know, this is popular, maybe we should just give it a little bit of a break. And it's like, no, you should have seen that for what it was when it first fucking came out. It's not a perfect movie, but damn, it has so much heart and so much meaning into that film that it strikes a nerve with everybody. It's like it's one of those, you could be a reject and be totally different, but as long as you have your group of friends that are like family, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or weird. There was like a certain camaraderie that these guys had, that no matter how shitty their life could essentially be, or how hidden they are, that they probably live life, like from the look of it in that movie, better than what we do, you know, from waking up, going to the 9-to-5 job, worrying about paying bills. They're living in a sewer, eating pizza, doing martial arts, and just, you know, going around skateboards in a tunnel, and just, they're always smiling, always happy.
But they want to be in the outside world. They want to, like, go out.
They didn't say that in the movie, though.
Well,
that came later on.
That's kind of why Raph wanted to get out. He's like, I'm stuck being done in this sewer here. I want to get out there and actually see the world.
Well, it wasn't like April and Ariel and the Little Mermaid, where it's like, oh, I gotta be up top. Like Raph kind of made it more of a statement in the second movie, because they saved the day, but still, they were still underground. Like, he goes up for the movie just to catch a break, but he doesn't like say, oh, I want to be up there with the people.
No, right, exactly.
You know, it wasn't anything like that.
I don't know. Just hearing him sing that song would probably be funny as hell.
Oh my god.
I can't see Raph singing that.
I don't think he'd be a good singer.
Michelangelo, I can see.
I can see him trying to be a really good singer. Yeah, definitely. But you mentioned that family definitely is a pretty big theme in this movie, not just with the turtle dynamic and Splinter, their sensei, but also April's family, and even Shredder as well. Like when he has that awesome introduction where you just see the shadow being cast in the sewer, and you see the Foot Clan on one side and the new recruits on the other side, and he's basically telling everyone, this is your family. I am your father. He even has a Darth Vader moment in that fucking movie. He says, I am your father. It's fucking awesome.
It's interesting that you say that, because there's this like light and dark dynamic there when it talks about family. Like, he's pretty much saying, if you're unloved and feel unwanted, come join me. I'll give you everything you want, like free reign, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And here are the turtles, that they're kind of like on this, they don't get the love and appreciation and be known as freaks and all this other stuff. And they're totally loved, and they're totally like wanted with each other.
Oh yeah, man.
It's an interesting dynamic. You know, like, we don't talk about politics, and everybody usually finds something in a piece of art about it, but I'd probably say that the only political pull or message in this is that dynamic, like how people with bad intentions will promise you things for, like, control. Like, Shredder wants them for control. Mm-hmm. That's all he wants them for.
He's using them.
Even Splinter has that amazing line at the very end of the movie, like, which, by the way, Sam Rockwell and Skeet Ulrich actually are in the movie.
I didn't know about Skeet Ulrich.
Skeet Ulrich is like, yeah, he's like standing next to Sam Rockwell or close by him. Like, you can see him towards the very end a little more.
Okay. Dude, he must be young.
He was very young. And Sam Rockwell, of course, is the guy who, he's the one who says bad timing to April. He was leading the new guys into the warehouse, and with the cigarettes. He says regular or menthol. That's Sam Rockwell. And when he says we have a loyalty to the Shredder, and Casey Jones is ready to kick his ass at the end, and he says, you want to be first, Junior? And then when he says we got a loyalty to the Shredder, that's when Splinter says the Shredder uses you. He poisons your minds to obtain which that he desires. He cares nothing for you or the people you hurt. Doesn't that sound like politics? Fuck yeah, it does. We're always constantly lied to for control, and that's all they want. People, especially narcissistic parasites, like if you're better than somebody else and you don't give them what they want, like how they lash out and they say, oh, well, you're a piece of shit. You don't help me out. You claim to be a nice person, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, they'll take whatever they can from you to, just get inches instead of miles. Basically, like what I'm saying is they'll take what they get from you to just benefit them now instead of helping them out in the long run. And they just want more and more from you. And that's pretty much what was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
And that's like a deep message. I mean, especially like the stuff Splinter says. Like the one line where Splinter's captured and Danny, he's April's boss's son.
Yep.
He runs away because he feels like he's being shunned out from his dad. And he's talking to Splinter, and Splinter's telling him that I doubt your father doesn't love you. And he's like, why? And he says, all fathers care for their sons. Mm-hmm. That's a deep-hearted message right there.
He's just a walking pile of philosophy. He has a lot of great quotes, and especially the moments, like the tender moments where he's talking to Raphael saying, you are different from your brothers because you choose to fight alone. But know that you are not alone in this fight.
There are so many heartfelt messages, and I totally relate to that. I mean, I relate to, like, feeling alone because I was so different from a lot of people. I mean, there's this quote by Kurt Cobain that I saw where he said, people laugh at me because I'm different, but I laugh at them because they're all the same. I totally ran with a different crowd. I mean, I was still into comic books and nerdy shit, and I was like well-rounded into like older music compared to everybody else who was listening to like NSYNC and Limp Bizkit and all that other stuff. I didn't get into that. I wanted the good stuff. People thought I was fucking weird. And I'm like, I'd rather watch pro wrestling on a Monday night.
I did.
Like, give me a Packers game, and just other people are just like doing weird, like, kid shit, and I'm like, I don't know.
Give me an Iron Maiden album, seriously.
Yeah. So, like, I understand, and it was like, I didn't really have anybody to talk to like that, and I wound up finding my own outlets in a way. So I could relate with Raphael where it's different and sometimes it's frustrating and you don't know how to let it out.
He does have some pretty awesome fight scenes, Raphael, especially when he saves the day with April O'Neil.
Yeah, that was
the
really
fucking Foot Clan cool. member slaps her in the face and she decides to fight back with a purse and then he just comes out of nowhere. Yeah!
Basic breakdown of the movie is we're introduced to the Turtles in the shadows and they save April from a group of muggers. Raphael loses his sai in the process, which is his martial arts weapon. And during their celebration of their first battle, he's upset and disappointed, and then at one point he walks away. That's when we encounter Casey Jones afterwards, and he feels like a failure because Casey got the best of him. But eventually, he caught April snagging the sai. So he tracks her down, and during that process, because she's ratting out the Foot Clan, Shredder doesn't like it, so he wants her dead. And the Foot actually go find her, and she actually tries to attempt to use Raphael's sai, even though she has no training at all on how to use this thing. It gets dropped in the process, and then Raphael has that cool shot where he just takes it, and it slides out, and he just goes and kicks their ass.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he saves April, takes her back to the lair. Of course, she naturally freaks out seeing the turtles.
Listen, I laugh at that scene so much because, like, she doesn't even, like, say anything. All it says is, like, high-pitched scream, and then also she's like, I got a concussion, you're talking turtles, and then Splinter starts talking, she goes, oh my god, a talking rat? She's, like, up on the couch.
And it does feel like a legit reaction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I gotta say, you gotta really give Judith Hoag and Elias Codius the props for working with those guys in those costumes and making it believable. They did an amazing job with acting the part.
I think Elias's line, and I laugh at probably more than I should have, is when he actually gets to see Raph for the first time, and he's like, "What are you, a punker?"
Yeah.
I'm like, where is that?
That's actually where when you hear me do that, huh?
Yeah.
That's when Raph does that, huh? That's where I get it from.
Oh. Gets taken out by a cricket bat in a trash can.
Poor
But
Raph.
I love the chase when Raphael is like gung-ho, ready to get after this guy. Go back here! And you just get this big shot of the city, and you just hear him yell, "Damn!"
Which also, little trivia, the turtles inside the costumes, the actors, they all have cameos in the movie.
Mhm.
Raphael is played by actor Josh Pace, who was the guy in the cab when Raphael gets hit by the cab, and the guy goes, "What the heck was that?" That's Josh Pace, who plays Raphael.
That's hilarious.
And it's kind of funny, because, like, in the same sequence, you're like, I love the fact that the cab's like, whatever, just New York.
It just looked like a big giant turtle in a trench coat. Just
yeah,
New
you're
York
going to
for ya.
LaGuardia, right?
Like, he sees it all the time. Like, yeah, this turtle just fucking just hit my car again, you bastard.
Like, another day.
I just love that scene. Just, damn!
Michelangelo was the pizza guy.
Yeah, that is probably one of the most memorable scenes, because he's sitting down there, Donnie comes over, he's eating a popsicle, and he goes, "Pizza guy's late."
Time's up. $3 off.
Oh my gosh.
That was a really good scene, because Donnie played an integral part in that. It was like the only time where an important message that really didn't get brought up, where I feel like they failed in the sequels, was what happens to them when Splinter dies.
Yeah.
Because Donnie was the one who said, "Hey Mikey, what do you think about what Splinter said tonight? I mean, about what it would be like if not having him." And Mikey just kind of like...
Yeah, he like blows it off like, "Oh, Splinter's always going to be here."
I don't want to think about that. Yeah, I just want to think about pizza.
And I believe I think it was at least in the script. I know, believe it or not, there was actually a lot more that was filmed to the movie that didn't make it.
Okay.
But I also remember seeing this movie in the theaters and remembering there was more to the farm scene.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember it detail for detail because I was only 3 at the time, but I can't believe I still remember it. Of all the things to look back on and go, I remember more from the farm. And then on VHS, it was like, that's not here. Yeah, and that's why I'm like, I hope one day that we do get more of like an expanded version of it.
Well, with everything that is happening right now because of the Snyderverse, people are talking about getting director's cuts and extended cuts on movies. I'm still kind of curious about the Mrs. Doubtfire one.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I didn't hear about this one.
There's actually a rated R version where they let Rod Williams go. They just let him do his thing.
Uh-huh.
So if there's stuff that exists for this movie, I would love to see it.
Jesus.
Because, like, we talked about it before in Friday the 13th. Like, Part 7 probably would have been a better movie if they got their cut. I know it doesn't exist anymore because they burned it. So there's stuff out there that might have made a movie better. Biggest example of that right now is actually Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yo, they used an hour from the original of his stuff, and then Joss Whedon did the other hour. What they cut out and put into it made the movie beautiful. Like, I cannot say much shit about this movie. I tried to talk shit about this movie because I can't.
You usually find shit to talk about.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
Like, that was the thing. Like, I think I said one word. It's beautiful because it was not what I expected. That's what I want to see with this movie. If there's something out there that they have, at least bring it to light so us as fans can enjoy it too. Like, don't shelve everything. Yeah. Like, hell, if you were going to do a theatrical release and then start doing the on DVD, like, unrated whatever director's cut, fucking just start doing it. Yeah. You're going to make more money either way.
I mean, with the Snyderverse and the Snyder Cut being infinitely better than the Justice League, we could be seeing a renaissance of other films to come. Maybe this is the beginning of something bigger.
I'm just going to say, I don't need a 6-hour Endgame movie, though. I'm just putting that out there. I don't need it. They already talked about it. I don't need it.
They talked about a 6-hour-long Endgame movie?
Yeah, there's a cut of it.
No. I'm sorry. Like, I can't take 5 piss breaks in the middle of a 6-hour movie called The Avengers Endgame. I can't.
Anyway, back to Turtles.
Yeah.
4 hours. 4 hours seems appropriate because even a lot of movies in the 60s and 70s had a 4-hour cut, and they had an intermission break in between the 2-hour mark. So 4-hour movies have existed for a while. I think that's an appropriate length. Fuck, we could have even gotten a 4-hour-long Jurassic Park movie of just dinosaurs eating people, and I'd be okay with that.
I don't know. A 4-hour cut of Turtles would be amazing.
I take a 4-hour cut.
Yeah.
I take an 18-hour cut of Turtles.
Technically, we put 1 and 2 together, like splice it together perfectly, so it makes one long-ass movie, and then add all the new shit into both movie. I think it'd be perfect.
You mean the one where they do Bebop and Rocksteady right this time?
Nah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with both movies.
Honestly, I mean, I know we're talking about the first one here, but I think in some ways they kind of should do like if they want to bring Turtles back, I think they should kind of do the Halloween 2018 and eliminate Secret of the Ooze. I personally think that it was a missed opportunity because they went too family and kid friendly, and the real elements of the story is what would happen if Splinter's not around. I think Shredder should have died in the first movie, and what they should have done was probably either have his brother come in, or Karai take up the Foot Clan.
Or even bring in Baxter.
I was just going to say, or bring in Baxter. Then you can have the Mousers, especially because that could be how Splinter could die.
Yeah. There's
and
a lot
that has more of an impact. Because another thing about the Turtles they're just kids.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize.
Teenage.
Exactly. But because they're so used to like what they're doing and being self-sufficient, really, or at least they look it to us. But they're really just kids. Mm-hmm. You know, they're still having a fun time, and I mean, they probably could kick the shit out of most adults, but the fact of the matter is that it's like nobody's thinking that they are just kids.
I think the only time I've actually saw them as kids was, I think it's the third cartoon series, so where Nickelodeon Bottom Out and made that first like 3D animation. You actually got to see them as kids. Like, you got to see them build up, where like the 85 and the 2003, they were still kind of badass. You saw them as adults, but yeah, they did some stupid things. They said some stupid stuff, but ultimately they didn't really fail too much.
Yeah, they also in 2003 they did show them as kids in the cartoon a little bit. They would like go sneak off away from Splinter and have adventures.
But it was like all do that.
Yeah, I know.
Who doesn't do that?
It was like the makings of little kid stuff, but. You made a really good point about the failures. That was another really good thing about this movie. It makes you feel for the heroes because at times they get their asses kicked.
Well, when he brought up Raphael being badass, I was going to be a smart ass and throw out. You mean the time that he got his ass whooped and thrown through the skylight?
He
was surrounded by 30 Foot Clan members, Jeff. Do you think you could take on 30 Foot Clan members? I don't care how inexperienced they are. But it was going to happen. Like, there was no way he was going to come out of that unscathed, unless he had a fucking machine gun and started mowing them down.
But yeah, like, it was nice seeing, like, our heroes fail. Like, that building got burnt down. Raph got its ass kicked. It was showing that, like, yeah, they're still kids.
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
they have a lot of room to grow yet. They're not the master kick-ass guys that we know that just never fail. There is going to be a sense of failure, and it gives more to that movie where you're like, okay, well, are they going to win in the end?
Yeah.
Because, like, at the very end, they don't want to think Shredder killed Splinter. They don't know what happened to Splinter. They just know that when they left to take April back home and Splinter was gone because that foot ninja followed Raph, that they don't know what's going on. So when they go and take on the Foot Clan again, they're looking for answers and just trying to survive. And it's not until when they encounter Shredder that Leo is said that I think this guy's the one who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he even lies about the whole thing, saying he was your sensei. Like, you lie! Like, obviously, Shredder just trying to manipulate them. About that fight scene, I kind of wish there's 4 of them and 1 of him.
Like, why didn't they gang
Why didn't they
up on
all
him?
just team up and beat the shit out of him?
That's one of the biggest flaws I hear, and I understand that.
It would make more sense, 4v1, you could have ended this entire fight in 30 seconds or less. Instead, they each take him out one by one, or try to take him out one by one. He gets the best of each of them.
Well, that actually goes back to the biggest problem was the suits. So with them being that big and cumbersome, they moved really slow. So most films are 24 frames a second?
Yes.
This one they did 23 frames a second, so they're actually walking at normal pace. Fight scenes were shot in 22 frames a second to actually make them that fast.
Also, those suits were 70 pounds.
Yeah.
I remember through the 30th anniversary, Josh Pace and Leif Tilden, who were Raphael and Donatello, they were talking about getting cast, and they had a little like live Q&A on Instagram, and were telling stories and some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Josh Pace talking about how when he got cast, they flew him over to England to get molded for the body cast, and he was going to do, I think it was like 3 to 4 months of martial arts. And he said he had a little bit of a background because he's actually a New York native, Josh Pace. And they told some pretty cool stories and talked about Elias and other characters, and it was interesting because they actually said like things about other characters that seemed like they'd almost want to be other characters, or they really had an appreciation for. And I got a cool story where I sent a question because they were reading the questions through the feeds and stuff. And after hearing them talk about the other characters, I said, well, would you guys kind of want to consider playing other characters that, you know, you already played or would rather play? And he read it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he said, oh, we got a question. And he read it off, and it was so funny. He said, would you want to play other characters instead? And he goes, no. Because they're talking about Casey Jones, they're talking about Michelangelo, you know.
Shredder.
Yeah. And they were like, no, we really appreciated what we did for these characters and made a name for ourselves. And I thought that was so cool.
Nice.
And I was like the 3-year-old kid, like, oh my god, Raphael just read my Instagram message. He answered it. I was like, oh.
Well, the funny thing is, like, as you're talking about this, like, the main director actually only did the drama shots. The cinematographer did all the action shots. So there were, like, Corey Feldman and them actually wore the suits for the drama.
Well, Corey Feldman didn't.
Well,
He was the voice.
Yeah, the only guy who did wear the suit and do the voice was Josh Pace.
well, they were saying they did that just for drama and because they had to film everything at the same time because of only having a short schedule. So, like, he kept throwing more and more onto his cinematographer for the fight sequences. He's like, oh, I got to deal with the drama stuff. We'll do with that, and then we'll put everything together. I'm like, I didn't know that. I thought it was just one.
That's common. I've seen that a couple of times where the director himself may not have a lot of experience in filming fight scenes, so that's when the second AD or the AD will come in to step in if they have a little more experience, or the choreographer will basically helm the shots.
Well,
they work with the cinematographer hand in hand, and then they'll plan what they want to do.
Also, I want to say another studio that was involved was Golden Harvest Entertainment, and Raymond Chow was another producer on the show. And Raymond Chow and Golden Harvest were known for doing the Bruce Lee films.
Okay.
Now, I remember, because I'm a big Bruce Lee fan, and I remember after learning about his story, and when I saw the name Raymond Chow and Golden Harvest, I said, oh, so they're the same guys. Also, I noticed the editor of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is Sally Menke, who was Quentin Tarantino's editor for quite some time until she passed.
Oh, okay.
That's actually really badass.
They really got a lot of names in this. They really do.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you don't notice it at first, if you're not a film major, you can look this up and find out, wow, they actually assembled a pretty damn good crew to put this film together.
And you know, saying these names, it just goes to show that, like, with how this movie stands out, like, and then what these people became later on, it's like, that just shows the amount of work and heart they put into this movie.
Yeah.
That's why I challenge anybody that says that this was a bad movie. I'm like, how? How was it bad? What, just because it's about turtles that are mutated and become ninjas? Oh, I'm sorry. You know, it's not got Robert De Niro. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
This movie was not designed or destined to go after awards. Fuck that shit. No, they wanted
I think this lives on more than any sort of award-type movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it has legs. It has more inspiration and movie magic in it than anything.
And like you said, there's a message in there that, yeah, maybe overshadowed by, you know, giant mutant turtles, but, you know, it's all about family and togetherness and kind of working together. And it was kind of dealing with that the whole way through, where most movies are just, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it actually has a message, you might have to search for it, but this one kind of was like laying it out. It was a little more heartfelt than you expect from a kid's movie, too.
Yeah.
It's got such strong family values in it that play such an integral part. Like, even when Raph and Leo fight and they say, get out of here. And we're like, all right, I'm gone. But then they come back and it's like, you know, we can't really leave without you. And what if Raph died? How would Leo feel after that?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
honestly, like, I have to admit, like, I remember seeing that 3D animation movie with you in the theaters, and we were excited because we finally got the fight we wanted, the Raph versus Leo. Yo, we are the only two grown-ass men in this theater. And as soon as it started happening, we're like, oh, fuck right. Yeah, there's like 8-year-olds sitting next to us, like parents are giving us dirty looks because we just screamed that out.
Yeah, we're like, holy fuck, man.
But I'm like, that's when I realized, like, yo, this is a generational thing. Like, everyone is going to show their kids. Like, when we started talking about doing this, I showed it to Thea. Yo, she watched it. And I was impressed. Like, hell, this is one of Lexi's favorite movies. My wife, she loves it. Like, even when we were watching it, we were quoting it.
Oh my god, this in Batman 89, I can quote the whole thing.
I would have loved it when you guys shouted that out loud, like the parent being like, hey, my little kid's here. Don't say that word. Shut the fuck up, nerd.
Nobody said
Yeah, nerd.
We just got the looks, but I mean, if anybody would have said, I think Jeff and I would have been like, don't deny us this.
Yeah. Because at the time I was wearing a green turtle shirt.
Because we were all like, no, not today.
Though, probably the best part of that entire fucking movie, but...
Yeah.
Stop ruining this moment for me.
But that was like one of those things, like it was building up to this for years, and we all wanted to see it. Between 2 and 3, the constant bickering we got between Raph and Leo, we finally got it in that movie. As much as it would have been better in the 90s era as puppet costumes, I think it would have been better.
Puppet costumes, yes.
The puppet costumes hold up well.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
If done right, they hold up well.
Yeah, and you saw, like, there was actually, like, even in Ninja Turtles 2, they looked different.
They looked like they were lighter.
Yeah, also, if you notice, Donatello and Leonardo, their mouths were a little more flatter.
Yeah.
I noticed that. 3, Jim Henson wasn't even involved with that, and that was just an absolute train wreck.
Well, that was the thing, like,
3.
Jim Henson's son Brian was saying he was glad his father got to see how popular Turtles became after the fact. Like, they were all worried because they didn't know if he was going to be able to see that happen. Because, dude, if you look at 3 major movies that always stick out with Jim Henson and me are going to be Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, and this, because the amount of work he put into each of those movies is amazing because, dude, it's real. You can touch it. You can feel it. Where this, it's literally people in those costumes. Like you said, they're 70 pounds. And
that was probably a complaint. Maybe that's why they made them a little bit lighter, because 70 pounds on your body for 12, 14 hours a day doing fights.
It's possible. I mean, sometimes you just gotta, like, different actors too were in it. I mean, I think maybe Leif Tilden and Michael Sistine, who was Michelangelo.
Sisti, yeah.
Sisti. I think they were the only 2 who returned for the second one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Raphael was somebody else. It was actually the stuntman, one of the stuntmen from the first movie. I think he took up the mantle as the main body in the second one. And another guy was Leonardo. But I think it's also just like new costume, new molds, because that stuff does rot. Yeah. I mean, there are pictures of what the costumes look like now, and I mean, they look horrible.
New crew, new production.
Latex isn't meant to have longevity either. It's just, here's your costume, it's meant to last, and for this amount of time, and that's it.
And I always love the story that they talk about. They had like these sawhorses that they had the guys can just lean on so they can get the weight off of them. And they said like at any moment in, was it North Carolina where they filmed everything? You just see these guys just laying on the sawhorse. They look like they're dead.
Oh, yeah. Well, they said it was like 100 degrees outside, and those costumes didn't make it any better. And
no AC, no fans of any kind.
Sometimes the helmet would get stuck on them, and I heard Josh Pace talk about how sometimes the mouth and the eyes would get stuck in one position, like the robotics wouldn't work, and they're like,
they're cross-eyed.
Yeah, like one's having a seizure.
Oh my god.
And it was kind of cool, like looking at that. Like they said, it pops off, but the servo wires go right into the shell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they can pull it off, but it was still like sitting there.
He looked like he was having a seizure during the one moment when Raphael realizes Splinter's gone, and you just get that 360 panning shot of him screaming. That is terrifying. Honestly, it felt like I was
scary moments in the movie.
It felt like I was watching Trainspotting or some scene out of a Darren Aronofsky film where it's
I don't know if I go that far, but I see what you're saying.
But like, it's like, is he on drugs right now? What the hell's going on, man?
No, not do that.
Now he's trying to wreck a
I
fucking classic over
know.
here.
It's like when somebody was talking about...
It's a terrifying scene. That's what I'm trying to say.
But you're involving, like, oh, is he on drugs? Come on.
No.
Fuck out of here.
That's like when somebody was saying, like, oh, when you watch Ninja Turtles 2, there are the sexual innuendos with Splinter when...
Wait, there's sexual innuendos?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I never heard about that.
Oh my god,
one.
yeah.
Like when they say, when Splinter pops up in the window and they're like, where's Splinter? And he goes, coming to a decision. And when he's sitting on the rooftop and he has the bottle of the ooze that's all broken and he goes, you have never seen this. And he reveals it and it's by his crotch. But you know what it is. It's like, dude, I don't want to hear that. Stop ruining my childhood.
Now I'm going to have to rewatch that movie with
I'll be honest, I have not seen Secret of the Ooze in such a long time.
Oh, man. I just heard that stuff and I was like, stop. Oh, by the way, Splinter was done by famous puppeteer Kevin Clash.
He actually was like the only full puppet there. Like,
Yep.
He wasn't really a guy in a suit.
And that was his voice as well for Splinter.
It's a good voice.
It is a good voice. I thought they nailed Splinter so well. I mean, there were shots where it was difficult to do him. I mean, you could tell by the hands, like when he puts his hand on Raphael's head, that there wasn't much, like, I don't know, like skeletal or work with it, because it looks like it just flops there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you could argue that because of how old Splinter is, you could easily say that he's arthritic. If you really want to.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah. But especially at the very end when Casey and Danny save Splinter and they get him out and the Turtles are getting their ass kicked by Shredder, I thought it was so well done, even though I hated seeing the Turtles get their ass kicked by Shredder because it was like you never saw that. But for the sake of the movie, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need
It really was
vulnerable.
And at the same time, Splinter finds out Shredder is Orokusaki because Danny wears that headband that has the Orokusaki symbol on it, and he tells Danny about it, and that's how he knows. And then when he confronts Shredder on the rooftop seeing the Turtles getting their asses kicked, when Shredder's told the other guys to throw the weapons off the roof, when he had Leo down on the ground with the spike staff, and he says either the weapons or he dies, Splinter gets Michelangelo's nunchuck, and he gave Shredder a mindfuck by saying, I know who you are, and you know me. And when Shredder took the mask off, and you see the scars from when he bit his face, and Shredder's just like, you.
I remember.
I will finish what I began with your ear. And then he just lunges at him, which, of course, is a smart thing to do when you're on a roof.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. Like, when you notice that moment, and all Splinter does is like,
Yeah, but you know what? That falls in line, if anybody who knows martial arts, it's always defense, never offense, and a master never flinches in danger. And that was just everything about Splinter being a master ninja. And we don't even... Well, I'll get to that part later on, but I was just going to say, like, we don't know how far ranked Splinter is. I mean, clearly he's a high-ranking martial artist because he's very calm, he's very collected, and he's very philosophical. But it kind of falls in line with the line that I love that Bruce Lee said, that belts are only good for holding up pants. So it doesn't, it's kind of like that line where I say, like, it doesn't matter about an actor winning an Oscar. It's what you do and how you bring it is what really matters in the end. Doesn't fuck accolades and whatever. Yeah. But it was just what a real martial arts master would do. Just come at me, bro. Not even flinching. I just love the reaction of the puppet and just bam. All that anger and frustration and the hot-headedness that he was even trying to tell Raphael to, like, we got to channel it. We got to calm it down. It took to Shredder and all that anger and hatred that he had. It kind of has that Aesop's fable, which Aesop's fable about the tortoise and the hare is in the movie. Remember Michelangelo? Ninja kick the damn rabbit. Do something.
Come on, why are you going so slow?
And it's that slow and steady wins the race when Shredder's coming at him fast, and Splinter just
switch positions, and you actually think Splinter's actually going to pull him up and maybe save him. Like, hey, I'm better than you because I'm going to let you live, even though you're a killer. I'm not like you. And, you see him pull the knife out. He's going to throw it at him like, okay, nope, gone.
Yeah, Splinter doesn't kill Shredder. It's Shredder's own vanity that is his own demise. And he even has that line that death comes for us all, Orokusaki, but something much worse will come for you. For when you die, it will lead without honor.
And then Casey just goes, whoops, here's the trash compactor.
Yep. But man, when you see Shredder falling and then he falls in that compactor yet, it was like, whoa. So intense. I remember watching that in the theater as a kid going, what am I watching?
Yeah. I have no clue what's going on. This is amazing.
You're watching and listening to bones break and metal crunching.
You know, and it's amazing that I remember that at 3 years old. I don't remember much else at 3 years old, but I remember seeing Ninja Turtles in the theater at 3.
I remember wanting pizza all the time.
I always want pizza. This movie started my love for martial arts. Pizza for sure. I also love Turtles because of these guys. I mean, I remember my dad telling me a story because we're big Penn State fans in the family. But one time Penn State was playing the University of Maryland, and they're the Terrapins. Yeah. He saw this big like turtle mascot. His name's Testudo. Yeah, the Terps. And I remember my dad telling me a story where he looked at my mom and he said, I think we lost Colin. And it's true, and that's how I became a Maryland Terrapins fan, because of Testudo the turtle was the mascot. That's his name, Testudo.
Awesome. Yeah.
He's a sea turtle.
I mean, come on, like if it didn't start even just the love of pizza or turtles, I'd say definitely hockey from Casey Jones.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that they threw at you, like even as a kid, you don't really realize like, oh, what the hell's going on? So like, yeah, obviously that went over her head that Shredder might have just got crushed. But
yeah. Oops.
I mean, like the movie itself, like we all said earlier that like the whole like family thing is oriented into it. The one biggest moment that I always see it for what it is, after Shredder kidnaps Splinter, and they have to escape the Foot Clan after they're at April's house and they end up burning it down. They go to her farm. And then that's when they come together as brothers. And they finally listen to what Splinter was saying about working together, meditating, and stuff like that. That's when they actually talk to Splinter on the fire.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Before I didn't get it as a kid because I was like, but he's captured. So is it supposed to be like he's dead, but he's not dead? Is he talking to him through the mind?
Chi. It could be.
Yeah.
Well, if you take notice,
at the time, I didn't understand it until I looked into it.
It's like he's always meditating. Like when he's sitting there, like when they first introduced Splinter, he's meditating. And there's a lot of times where they come in, they're loud as shit. He's already meditating, like, oh fuck me, man, leave me.
There's also the talk of civil disobedience. You know, Splinter doesn't talk to Shredder, and even though he's getting beat to hell, like Gandhi, you know, like he's not giving in to all the high in command, like how Shredder is just physical. He's violent. He's controlling, and Splinter's just no. I'm not telling you anything.
Yeah, he beats the fuck out of that poor rat.
And do you think
guy.
And do you think Splinter would give up his own kids? Fuck no.
No.
You know, he loves them, and that's the strong family ties right there. I mean, that's another strong-hearted message too. I mean, you really felt like Splinter was just like the Turtles. You felt like they were real in this movie. I mean, it's just absolutely astonishing to me that what they captured is fantastic. And then I hear people cry about how dark it is, and I'm like, why? Because
the comics were dark.
Well, they were dark, but at the same time, it's like, yo, the world's not this happy, you know, sunshine and rainbows kind of place. And here are guys that are outcasts, you know, poor, you know, living in sewage shit, you know, and they're finding a light and a love through everything. It's like, don't you see the amazement in this?
Yeah.
You know, they're just big kids having fun and just enjoying what life they have. They're sheltered. It's almost like living in jail in a way. But they make the best of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. I will say that you mentioned about hockey. I'm really glad that they didn't put like a Jason Voorhees style hockey mask on Casey Jones. Like, I'm glad that it was very much its own thing, because that could have been a distraction.
That's kind of what it looked like in the comic book too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they definitely did do its own like replica version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. I'm glad it looked like that. And I know they did that with the 2016 version.
Oh my god, yeah.
Well, no, it was very similar to the comic, but it had more of the round shape instead of like the rigid
Okay.
edges. So like it had like the old school mask, but they still tried to keep the very distinct lines to it.
They probably also had to keep it their own thing because I'm sure there would have been like a copyright issue if it looked too similar to the Jason Voorhees mask. He was owned by Paramount, and that symbol probably would have been like a lawsuit on their hands. Like, oh, you can't have that mask looking like that. We own the rights to Jason's mask and Jason and all these other characters that die.
I would say the only time it actually is a real hockey mask is that probably like 2014 cartoon series.
Yeah.
All it is just a painted skull on top of an old school hockey mask.
Cool.
Which I have a replica of.
Yep. I remember when we got that.
Dude, I was
at
excited.
a horror convention.
Yeah. I was excited. But this is probably like the one movie I will actually look out for like certain things. Like I have a 1/6 figure or 1/4 figure up here. I can't find the rest, but I got the one turtle I love, Donatello.
Yep, Raphael's been my favorite turtle mainly because he's color red. Red's my favorite color, which is also University of Maryland's color. You just throw that out there.
If I had to pick, it'd be Raphael for me as well.
For the longest time, I never understood what exactly I had because a lot of times I saw that I had more in common with Michelangelo and in a lot of ways Leonardo as well. I had some similar traits with him. It wasn't until recently where I saw that I had some correlation with Raph, and I was like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
So I see like a lot of my personality in with these guys, and having seasonal allergies really bad as a kid. This and Batman 89, well, I couldn't go outside a whole lot without like feeling sick and feeling like shit, so I would just watch the shit out of these movies, and I always loved it. And then when my parents divorced, I was in 5th or 6th grade, I think, when it happened. And at that time, I kind of felt lost because I didn't really bond with my brother and sister. I mean, like, I bond with my sister more now. I mean, plus as kids, it's a little, you don't hate each other, but you're just in different worlds. I mean, Farrell's also 4 years older than me. But I would hang out in my mom's basement because we had a TV and we had the movies and the gym equipment down there, and I would take my art pad and, I would sketch or do homework or listen to music, and this was like the go-to movie for me when I would just hang out down there and just be on my couch and I would just watch the movie again over and over. And I even remember pausing the movie and recreating the Leonardo drawing that April did, and I redid that. I also remember getting made fun of for saying to people that I was watching Ninja Turtles again, and they were like, oh, Colin, come on, grow up. And I'm like, no, it's a good movie. It's a damn good movie. Make fun of me all you want, but I know it's good. So, I mean, I'll never stop loving this movie. I saw it in theaters again for the 30th anniversary. I had an amazing time doing it.
That's right, it was 2020.
Yep.
Did you see it at the Fox Theater?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I was so pumped when I saw the like little marquee box that said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was somebody dressed as Leonardo there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was all pumped. I was like, oh my god. And I was just like, man, from 3 years old to 33, I was like, this movie just never gets old.
No, man.
Never.
Yeah.
I mean, this and Batman 89, if there was like a double feature, dude, that's my night.
We're especially doing the double feature this year.
We actually are, yeah. For my birthday, we saw Batman 89 in the theater, and we're going to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again
In a couple weeks, yeah.
Actually, next week?
Yep.
Next week. Oh my god, next week. Yeah,
Look at the dates.
in the theater that I remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being advertised in as a kid.
Awesome.
It comes full circle.
I know. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Yeah, like
I love reliving this childhood stuff, and then, like you said, Jeff, with your daughter and with my nieces, all this stuff is just amazing.
I have to admit, watching Batman 89 with Theo, like, I even warned you guys, like, first hour should be fine. Past that,
yo, but she stole the show.
Yeah,
her and my oldest niece, man, they had the best commentary there.
They did have some pretty good commentary.
Dude, there were some funny things, like Theo was going, "Oh!"
I forget what moment it was, but it was really hilarious.
But yeah, like it was one of those things, like a generational thing. Like, yes, we grew up with them, and now we're showing it to our kids, and so on and so forth. Like your nieces, and And I'm excited to see where everything's going to be in 30 years. So, like, we're seeing it now at the 30-year mark. Like, I'm 34, you're 33. You're what, 30?
I'm 34.
33, man. Come on.
Huh?
I'm 34.
I don't give a fuck anymore. You're old. I'm thinking of, like, something last year.
Right, we'll be in our 60s at the 30-year-old. We'll just leave it at that. 30 years from now, we'll be in our 60s.
But it'll be amazing because, like, we've seen from that moment, even when the cartoons were introduced till now, like, they've gone through big changes. Like, even in the comic world, they're still going. And I think the most recent one's The Last Ronin, where it's one turtle survived, and they're building off of that. I think that's almost done. So it's like we're kind of cool, like, going forward with everything.
I hope something good comes back out of the franchise again. I know Seth Rogen apparently is supposed to pick it up, and I have zero faith in him because I think he's trash, honestly.
Hold on. We also said that about Danny McBride and Halloween. Like, if you're a fan of the series, they might actually do something good with it. So, like, if Danny McBride helped write Halloween 2018 and we loved it, what if Seth Rogen, being a fan, actually takes it and goes with it instead of making it a dick and fart joke movie?
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Smoking pot.
I will give it a chance, but no matter what, I just think they can't compare to this movie. Like I said, no. I think the best direction that they should go is kind of like a Halloween 2018 and eliminate Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, and the third one too.
Oh, well, yeah. and go from there from it. You know, like introduce Karai, introduce Baxter, bring back the practical effects because that's the heart of it. Maybe talk about or have Splinter pass away and see what happens to him. Rely on April and Casey more. There's a lot more interesting ways they could go about it and make the series more substantial than what it was because parents complained and that's why you don't get the weapons in the second one. That's why it was more lighthearted in the second one.
Oh, God, yeah.
And, I mean, I do enjoy Secret of the Ooze, but you can tell that the quality factor just went down.
Just have it be a contained amount of money for a budget. Don't get a dump truck full of money and just like, here's $150 million.
I just
make a new TMNT movie.
I just get one question. How the fuck is Toka and Razor less scary than fucking Bebop and Rocksteady?
Yeah, I know, right?
Dude, a wolf and a snapping turtle, when they get transformed, they look scarier than a warthog and a rhino, okay? How the fuck am I supposed to go, oh yeah, this is less scary?
Yeah. What?
You know, actually, not to bring this up, but I'm going to anyway. The third movie, that was one of the few movies where I leaned into my dad and I said, can we leave?
Really?
And he looked at me and said, let's go. Yeah, I walked out of that movie halfway through.
Wow. For a kid yet.
I know.
Am I supposed to hate this, Daddy?
Believe me, I tried because it had, yes, I was overblown and I loved the look of feudal Japan in the third movie. I really enjoyed that. I could not get behind the fucking movie and what was happening to Casey Jones and some of the other characters. As a kid, I was feeling this way to the point where I said, can we please go? And he couldn't be happier. And we sat through fucking Street Fighter.
I would do
that's saying something right now. We sat through the whole fucking runtime of Street Fighter.
By the way, did you guys ever have those Burger King tapes?
Yes.
Of Ninja Turtles?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
How many times did you guys watch the trailer to the movie at the end of those tapes?
A lot.
Me too. I admit, I still watch the trailer because I remember getting so excited. And that trailer was kind of scary. Remember when like the New Line Cinema logo just pops up and it's like this, and it shows Shredder at first and you're like, what the fuck?
Yo.
And then like the only hint you get of the turtles is when you see the shells pop out of the water and you're like, and then the sewer lid that popped up from the steam, it's like, That trailer was so fucking cool because it's like just little like hints and subtleties and you're just like, what are we getting here? Oh my god. Right. It gives me chills now. Just
not like most trailers where they blow their load in the 2 minutes.
That trailer was so hyped up because like the poster said, yo dude, this is no cartoon.
It's right there.
It's like it was. I just remember being so pumped for that movie as a kid because I was like, I love the cartoon and seeing them come to life because that was the point of movies. It was seeing these characters come to life, no CGI, no nothing, and they looked and they felt real, and the movie felt real.
I think the only difference now, if they would do a practical like setup like that, they'd probably use CGI to cover the mouth.
I don't blame them for. I don't care if they use it for the Band-Aid like it should.
Yeah.
Not as a crutch. Because then something like that would be totally fine. I'd be totally with it. Don't care. But, oh my god, dude. It's,
kind of funny that we both just pointed at the poster. It's actually on the same wall as Nightmare on Elm Street, so it is kind of fitting.
New Line.
New Line.
As I'm pointing at it, I'm like, oh shit, it is the same fucking wall.
Like I said, 1984, Nightmare on Elm Street. The comics came out that time.
Yeah.
And, of course, New Line was a up-and-coming company that gave everybody a chance, and they took a gamble on it. That would be a great documentary alone about why did they take Ninja Turtles when nobody else would. They had this phenomenon with the toys and the cartoon and the comics, and nobody gave the movie the time of day. It's like, what the fuck?
There's a documentary out there now. It's just called Turtle Power. And it actually culminates from the comic being made all the way to like current time at the time the documentary came out. And there's about a half hour where they talk about the movie and the guy trying to ship it out. Like, nobody wanted it because no one believed in it. And it was New Line going, fuck it, let's do this.
This is dollar signs that we're seeing right now.
Because of the merchandise rights. They got the rights because it's all them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the smartest move that they made being an independent company. Like, hell, they have Lord of the Rings for fuck's sake now.
Yeah. They grew after just like certain key hits. You know, not just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not Nightmare on Elm Street, but also you got to think about Mortal Kombat being under the banner, The Mask, a bunch of movies under the New Line banner. That's how it grew to how big it was.
I think in Never Sleep Again, I forget if it was Heather Langenkamp or Sarah Risher who worked at New Line had said by the time they did Wes Craven's New Nightmare, it was going beyond just a little independent company. Because like in New Nightmare, you even see them with their own building. It looks nice and it's the logo on the wall and stuff.
Yeah.
And it shows, man. Like they went from being very independent up and coming. So it's like I would love to see, like you said, a documentary just about the movie. The documentary about the Turtles was cool, but I was like more interested in what was happening more with the movie. That's where I got to see where the puppetry being made. And like Jim Henson and his son kind of Jim Henson's son talking about how his father was able to see everything prior to his death. So it was like kind of cool. I'm like, well, I want to see more now. Mm-hmm. So a half hour I felt was not worth everything else. I'm like, dude, that movie could be like 4 hours long. I would still watch it.
Oh, dude, I'd totally watch a 4-hour documentary on making a Ninja Turtles.
I'm like, dude, we already watched it for
Never
Friday.
Sleep Again. And 8 hours for Friday the 13th.
And all we can say is it hasn't happened yet.
Give it time. Like, the fan base is still there. And the fact that Nickelodeon bought it up to continue was, like, a big thing. Because, like, yeah, they're a bigger company.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would love to see this continue.
Me too.
I also just knew that when Nickelodeon bought it, that I knew it was going to go into the direction of being more kid-friendly. Because Nickelodeon is a kid-friendly network and a kid-friendly company. Which kind of had me concerned. That's why when the 2014 Michael Bay movie came out, that it wasn't really going... It was going to be a far cry from the dark undertones of the first movie in 90.
I was just so disappointed when I saw the concept art or the first image of the Turtles and when they said CGI. That Michael Bay stuff was like a train wreck from the beginning, I think. Like, originally they wanted the Turtles to be aliens.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And then they changed it because there was a backlash, and I remember Michael Bay saying, "Don't worry, I got this." And I'm like, what do you have? Like, you didn't prove jack shit to us before other than explosions. Ooh, I can put a fucking firecracker in my backyard and go, ooh, Michael Bay, 2.0.
I guess, yeah, we talked about, like, a couple films that we do like of his, like The Island, The Rock, and we thought Con Air was at first a Michael Bay movie.
Kind of looked like one.
There's the guy who made the Tomb Raider movies, but it might as well have been directed by Michael Bay because it follows a similar formula in terms of actions and explosions and big names and off-putting one-liners that are supposed to be for comic relief. Why don't you put the bunny back in the box? Yeah, it was like Simon West, I think, who directed Con Air. But like I said, going back to what I said originally, that I was just really let down that they just made Shredder a giant robot, or at least like a robotic samurai. And then they were like, oh, don't worry, guys. In the sequel, we'll make Shredder a person, but he will do nothing. We'll give the attention to Krang, and guess what? He'll be a robot.
Wow, he is a robot. Come on, that giant behemoth they have.
Talking brain just goes blah, 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 God, Krang.
Did you watch the cartoon as a kid? That's how it is. The original movie, the 90, like, there's so many movies at this point.
The good one.
Yeah, like, if you think about it, like, as a whole, like, there's not really much you can complain about.
It reminds me a lot of Batman Mask of the Phantasm, where it's just paced so well, the story's steady, you have an emotional pull with the characters, and also the soundtrack by John Duprez is really good. I was so pumped when it came out on vinyl, and I was able to download the music because for so long I wanted that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, because I listened to it and I go, I love this theme.
It's actually kind of funny, like, you were asking if that was on there. I'm like, yeah, I have it. Because, like, it was one of those things, like, that came out, and I think Night of the Living Dead came out around the same time, and I'm like, no fucking way.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and I was like, I ended up snagging them both, because, like, once the vinyls are out, they're gone. Like, he said something about the first one, so I was trying to see if I could find it for his birthday. Mm-hmm. Well, I found out they did the sequel. It was already out. It was sold out. It was gone.
Damn.
I'm like,
vinyl's been coming back with a vengeance. Yeah. And it's not just this year. It's been a couple of years ago where people are now starting to appreciate vinyl.
Yeah. I like that, too, because vinyl's better in general anyway.
It's got a better sound.
Yeah. I think it came out for the 30th anniversary, and it was kind of nice. And I think it's a double vinyl, so it's like it puts more quality into the sound. And it actually is like kind of like the old school art on the front, so it's like cool what the Eastman and Lard did.
Another thing, before I forget, there's a tribute to Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird in Ninja Turtles.
Yeah?
At the very end of the movie, when the chief goes up to Sam Rockwell and he says, I want to know what's going on, Sam Rockwell says, there's a East warehouse over Lairdman Island.
Ha! And then Eastman's actually in it.
Is he?
He's the trash man. They offered the role to both guys, so both guys were supposed to be in there, but Laird didn't want to be in it, so Eastman's like, fuck right, I'll be in it. But you can barely see him. Like, it was actually in the documentary, they paused the scene where he's in. He's like this little blip in the background behind the turtles. I'm like, so it's you?
Well, it's just like how, I don't know if it's Leif Tilden or David Foreman. Leif Tilden was Donatello.
Yes.
And the foot soldier that says, we've been waiting for you, Miss O'Neill, that's one of them. I want to say that was David Foreman because...
That's Leif Tilden.
That was Leif Tilden?
Yeah,
okay.
It says, in IMDb says foot messenger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I forget who David Foreman was, but yeah, Leif Tilden's cameo was him as the foot soldier. So you never see his face, even though you see Josh Page and Michael Sisti.
Yeah.
Leif Tilden's you don't, but I'm not sure. Does it say what David Foreman was?
David Foreman, just his gang member / Leonardo.
Oh, okay.
So he had to have had some sort of speaking role at some point.
I don't know if I don't know about that. He might have just been in the background if he was a gang member.
I just say, like, if he's listed, like, Leif Tilden is listed as foot messenger, he had a couple lines. So if he has gang member listed next to a Leonardo, he probably had, like, some line or two.
Well,
just like Raphael,
David
as the passenger in the cab, he had some lines.
Yeah, but David Foreman's Asian. I'm pretty sure it would stand out if we saw another Asian guy talking.
Oh.
Well, although there is so much that was filmed and deleted.
That's true. Maybe they just cut it out.
Yeah. But what we got, there's nothing there. I mean, even Judith Hogue said there might be at least another half hour of footage, really. I mean, there might be more Shredder because if you notice when Leonardo's fighting Shredder, in the close-up where Shredder's kind of like using the staff to block stuff, it's Raphael's size.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But you think about it, the way he dispatched them really quickly made it show that, like, yeah, they were still amateurs.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of cool.
But that's where the sequel's showing them develop more and growing.
I mean, that's what you want to see in your action movies. You want to see your heroes get their asses kicked and how they learn from their mistakes and how they grow and improve as being better fighters.
I gotta say, I don't have a least favorite scene, but as a kid, I hated seeing them getting beat.
Well, yeah.
But for the sake of the movie, it was effective.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it good, because it shows that vulnerability and it keeps you on your toes. Like, there's times I still watch the movie and I go, like, I hope there's like some hidden segue in the Blu-ray where it'll be like, no, they finally kick Shredder's ass just a little bit. You know?
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
I remember hating seeing Raphael get his ass kicked because it was like, it was Raph. I was like, no.
Getting drugged down the stairs and getting thrown on top of the ceiling, thrown through the skyline.
Dude, there are so many great quotes in the movie too, and like we can do the forgiveness is divine and all the other stuff, but another one I really liked is so you guys must be starting the abridged book in ninja fighting. Like, man, what an asshole thing to say to him. Like, oh yeah, you guys are amateurs, and then he just kicks their ass and goes, oh, come on, how do you expect to beat me? They just gang up on him.
Yeah,
exactly.
So the turtle should have done the Shredder at the end.
Yeah.
4 versus 1.
Yeah.
Just saying, that seemed like the logical decision, but they didn't do that. I thought your favorite line would have been Michelangelo's line, I'm in love.
Oh, yeah, because of Kelly Brook.
I hear you say that all the time about, like, different... I'm in love.
I do. I quote this movie, like, every month. I don't know.
Every day.
Whenever I get an opportunity.
Usually when we get together, I hear it a little bit, so it's like it's constantly...
Just goes to show the impact on this movie. It's like such an influential movie in my life. Like, even I go, oh, so that's the plan from a great leader. That'll do. And the clock's ticking, dude.
What was the line that Raphael says to Casey about, like, you do know the difference between a cricket and a crumpet?
Cricket? You gotta know what a crumpet is instead of cricket.
That's right.
Oh, Josh Pace's favorite line is, a Jose Canseco bat.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me, you didn't pay money for this. He said that's his favorite line.
I love that line.
I
love that too.
One of my funniest is, how about 5 minutes for roughing? Because, like, the way he comes up behind him and boom, like, cross-checks him.
Hooking.
Yeah.
Tripping.
About a 5-minute game misconduct for roughing, pal.
Oh my gosh.
Like I said, I could do the whole movie.
Oh, man.
Also, another little trivia is, nunchucks were actually illegal in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't think they realized that you could use them because it was an independent movie, but I believe it was marketed differently in other countries and stuff like that. I know that even Jason David Frank actually had talked about it on Instagram. He showed a little kata where he had nunchucks and said this was a kata that he was working on the show in Power Rangers, but because nunchucks were banned in the UK, he changed it to a bow staff, I think, in an episode.
Okay. I wonder why they were banned in the UK. They must have had, maybe some death was involved, maybe.
I remember looking at it years ago, because like all that martial arts stuff fascinated me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just like the accessibility of it being such a lethal weapon, and that you could, like, people not having it with proper training could easily hurt themselves and hurt others. Because I mean, if you ever, now I know Bruce Lee was like lethally fast, but if you ever saw him in the movies use those things, it's unreal.
Dude, I would say biggest one everyone knows is Enter the Dragon. So
yeah, and he has that one scene where it just
yeah,
you know, it looks like the scene could go on for 5 minutes, but really it was probably 30 seconds.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, hell, they said when he was doing Green Hornet, they had to tell him to slow down because he was too fast for the camera. And I watched that and I go, that's him slow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just saying though, like most normal people would probably end up hitting themselves in the dick with it. So.
Dickhead. That thing hits you in the head, it'll cause a fucking depressed skull fracture, and you could bleed out within seconds. Seriously, like one misstep, one wrong maneuver, and bam, you're hurt.
Dude, what's that movie, Sidekicks, with Jonathan Brandis, where he's learning the nunchucks? He keeps hitting himself.
I think more recently, what I laugh about is, it sounds messed up, is when South Park made fun of like that. it was called Fun with Weapons, and all the kids end up getting
Yes!
ninja weapons. So it's like, when you say like people get messed up, like that's all I can think of is those assholes with ninja weapons.
Kenny throws a ninja star in Butter's eye.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So it's like, yeah, like there's some.
They become anime characters in their mind. Oh, it's a really funny episode. But Carbon thinks he can go invisible. You see him inching his way on stage, and there's a nude fat kid with a tiny little dick. No one's blind, dude. Everyone can see you, and they get to keep their weapons at the very end.
Yeah.
Except him. They didn't care about Butters and his ruined eye. He probably has a glass eye for the rest of the seasons going forward. They were just shocked at seeing a nude fat kid on stage. There's a nude fat kid on stage. Yes, my psyche was destroyed by seeing Carbon's tiny little dick.
Oh my
That's
god.
funny though. Oh god, I remember that episode as clear as day.
Now, I see you're almost done with your book. Is there any other thing that you found that was interesting?
No, not really.
I'm just plain shocked that you're the one with notes, and it just...
I said we got a lot of tidbits in this episode, which is awesome. I'm learning quite a bit.
I guess one of the only things we can bring up is how they didn't really give Donatello more of a character arc, but I think I think what they did in the movie was just enough to introduce everybody. I still think he got a fair amount of screen time.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen him grow more into the Donnie that we know, like be more mechanical heavy, like maybe in the lair, instead of them moving like what they did in the second one, he sets up a security or something.
He's the brains of the operation.
Have him develop the van and stuff. And honestly, I would love to see them bring back Corey Feldman and Robbie Rist to do the voices again too. I feel like those are the guys.
Yeah.
I also feel like Josh Pace, even if he wouldn't be in the costume, should come back again and do it as well.
It'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bring back the originals, keep that continuity flowing, and the nostalgia was there. And they sound like they all loved it and had a great time. I mean, this movie for them, I'm sure, is the gift that keeps on giving because, I mean, I follow Josh Pace on Instagram, and I see him posting pictures of it and doing interviews and talking about it. Like I said in the live feed, I was all like, oh my god! I mean, like, I was like so excited that the 3-year-old me was coming out. I mean, I don't really get that nervous, but with him I did. And he's just an actor.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he really was Raphael.
Well,
I mean, he was, but...
It's like, to you, he was.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how, like, meeting Adam West was a big thrill for us. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Just meeting the Turtles, like, from the movie The Turtles, I think would be amazing to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, dude, I'd be that annoying little kid to him, though, like, nonstop. What was it like?
How did the suit feel when you wore it? I pushed my glasses up.
Oh my god.
So, like, were your feet wet walking in the sewer?
Did the sewer really smell?
How many pizzas did you guys eat?
Did you eat all the pizza, like the whole thing?
Did you give any to Splinter or Shredder?
The humor in it was great.
Oh my god, when she mentions pizza and Mikey jumps out of the
Let's
sewer.
go for
Pizza!
it! You said the magic word. You guys eat pizza? Doesn't everybody? What
His
do you
head
guys...
pops up like an actual turtle.
Or
when the foot ninja comes after Mikey, and he does the head duck like a turtle.
Oh my
when
God.
he tries to swing the axe at him, and he just like backhands him, and he goes, "I love being a turtle."
when they're doing the almost like the battle off with the nunchucks, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta keep on practicing, bro."
Yeah.
As it's spinning on his
A
finger.
fellow chucker, eh? That was a fun scene too.
Honestly,
Also, that foot soldier was the stunt guy for Raphael.
oh, that's awesome.
Yep. And the original stunt guy got hurt in the trash can,
No shit.
and that guy
Oh, really?
picked up the pace to be the Raphael stunt guy after that.
Okay.
Because
That's awesome.
he hurt I think he broke his nose when he went in the trash can.
Fuck that. I would still say, put whatever you gotta do. I'm wearing the suit.
Yeah.
Oh,
That would be dedication.
Yeah, really.
Running after Casey Jones with a broken nose down a street corner.
oh, I hate you so much.
Damn!
That's probably why he screamed.
Yeah.
That's when popping it back in place.
Do you guys have a favorite or least favorite scene?
This is kind of a decision between me, like going back to what I said back in Jurassic Park. But my almost favorite scene was actually the introduction and the setup to Shredder.
Very cool scene.
That was an incredibly cool scene. I watched that constantly, especially the speech that he gives, like I said, with the Foot Clan on the right side and the new recruits on the left-hand side. The grand scope of everything. You just see a shadow being cast on the floor, and then you see the lights above, and his armor is gleaming. Really cool stuff. And I honestly felt like I was watching a Japanese version of Darth Vader. As I said, he has the line, "I am your father. This is your family." Yes, exactly. Like, even like the first line he said, it was just like, "Money cannot buy the honor which you have earned tonight." Like, what a great line to start out with this guy speaking. And you see his henchman bowing to him. As soon as he puts his hand out, "I expect you to hand me what I want. This is the mask for the new recruit." I thought it was a really cool setup. And just, it's intercut between him and Splinter being chained up in the background. He's bruised. He's got a black eye. He's bloody and everything. Listening to Shredder speak. And then you see, was it Danny?
Yes.
"I know one of these turtles. I can help you out." As soon as he spoke, you just see how quick-witted Shredder is. Like, who just spoke? Who was that? I'm talking. Oh, you have some information for me. It just, that, you know what? I'm going to say that actually is my favorite scene.
Okay.
I'm going to say that is. Yes, blasphemy. It's not a scene that involves the turtles directly, but it has to do with the turtles, and it has to do with the introduction to a really awesome villain.
It doesn't matter if the turtles are involved.
Yeah. Even as a kid, I remember being drawn into that scene thinking...
It's a great scene. Like you said, the lighting and the music and the presence and the atmosphere. Also, there was supposed to be more to that scene. When they roll out the carpet, he's originally supposed to sit down, and some foot ninja come over, and he does a demonstration how he's just sitting, and he attacks him and takes him down while just sitting down.
Huh. Okay.
But I kind of see why they got rid of it, because the continuity flow really...
Yeah, that would actually like be really messed up. Like, oh yeah, this really big presence. I'm going to fuck you up real quick. Yeah. Anyway, back to my cool presentation.
And just how he ends that speech. "Find these creatures. These turtles." It's so awesome. Yeah, I'm going to say that's my favorite scene.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess if I had to pick the least favorite, it would probably be the turtles not teaming up at the very end to take down Shredder. I'm like, come on, guys.
So it's more of a concept than...
It's more of a... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Please team up. You would have handled this easily. Or maybe it would have been really awesome if Shredder could take them all out when they're all against him. Like, what if he's so skilled that he could actually handle all four turtles against him? But then again, maybe that has something to do with the costume restrictions and them not being able to pull the fight choreography to the way they want to, because you got 70-pound suits on. Maybe they couldn't do certain things they could, so they had to do... Maybe that's what led into the one-on-one fights. I don't know.
Also, you saying that, one thing I did really like about it that I noticed is, and I think I even heard somebody else say this, is that they actually do more wide shots that show you the action that they do, instead of like how in certain action movies you see the wide shot happening and then they cut close to show. Yeah. You know, they did a lot of wide stuff to see the full range of action going on, even with those suits and the restrictions.
Yeah, that's how it should be, because
it works better.
When you've got the camera locked in really tight, you get these tight shots and you miss a lot of things, or sometimes it can be, I don't want to say headache-inducing, but that could lead to the multiple quick cuts, and that leads to, all right, you could have filmed this better.
Yeah.
With a wide. So, yeah.
Jeff?
Actually, I got two scenes that always stick out to me.
Okay.
One we've quoted so much is actually that moment between Donnie and Mikey and the pizza. That one always sticks out to me. One of the most iconic images of those two just sitting there and him with the popsicle. But my second one is actually in April O'Neil's apartment with Mikey and Donnie again, where Raph and Leo are fighting. They're continuing watching the Rabbit in the Hare, and then all of a sudden, he's like, "Yo, pork rind? Pork rind." And then they then they continue watching this happen, and then he goes, "Yo, it's kind of like moonlighting, isn't it?" So it's kind of funny the fact that one of my favorite scenes involves something that
that's
Balls
at the
Bruce
farm.
Willis. Oh, it's like
Yeah.
I was like that. Those two scenes like really kind of stick out to me.
Yeah, that
oh yeah,
was
with April and
Casey.
Yeah. So technically 3 scenes at that point. That
Okay, there we go.
Because like I always remember that. It's like just the two. It seems to be like those two together are always stuck out to me rather than everybody else because they had more of that bonding moment where the other two kind of were the bickering type, and then them watching Casey and April, they're still bonding. So it seems like that's what stuck out to me the most. And like you said, always gotta have Bruce motherfucking Willis in somewhere.
It comes back full circle, as we've been saying ever since we did Die Hard. Everything is coming back to Die Hard.
Bruce Willis and Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite scene?
Honestly, no. Like
Neither do I.
I don't have really anything to bitch about because I think the movie's amazing. I've continued watching it, and like even the nitpicking, I don't really have anything like.
Yeah, I mean the thing that struck me the most was seeing Raph getting hurt, and like that being my favorite guy, and then knowing like how relatable I can be to all of them, and with him, I was like, no, especially as a kid, you don't want to see your favorite guy getting hurt like that.
Exactly.
As far as like a favorite scene, it's the whole movie to me. I mean, I like Batman. I just can't pick one specific thing because everything to me is great. I like how the colors in the sewer pop even in the darkness. The construction of that set I thought was absolutely amazing. I prefer that better than the train station that they got later on. The look of New York and the grittiness of North Carolina, was fantastic. The warehouse looked amazing for Shredder's lair. There was just so much that I just love the whole thing, and it's an hour and a half long. I mean, I still want to see this epic extended version if
4-hour cut.
If we ever get it. That would be amazing, but
I don't think anybody would complain.
I don't think so either. The music I think is also really great. The heart around it, the philosophical messages. I mean, this started so much for me, like as far as like seeing kid things in adult atmospheres. Yet it almost makes me feel like I'm an adult, but I'm still a big kid. Yeah. And you can still like live life as a big kid in an adult world. And these guys did it at 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were kind of like trial by fire though, because they had to at that moment.
Exactly. And I mean, they'll never and to have life without Splinter. I mean, that's a strong concept of what are these kids gonna do without their adult figure with them.
I think the only time that they ever had touched on Splinter not existing was the 2014 cartoon series. That's where Shredder and Splinter both die. They kill each other, and that's where it should end.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then I think they do one more season where it's them dealing with the fact that Splinter's dead. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And that was like one of the biggest moments for me. And I'm like, holy shit! I never even thought about that.
Another reason why this movie resonates with me for a lot of reasons is also because the movie came out on March 30th, and my birthday is March 27th, so
hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's so close to my birthday, and the Turtles have always been, like the original movies have always been a March release, and so that's always been like a correlation with me too. It's always stuck within that March realm, and I always just hold it close to my heart because of those reasons.
Yeah.
And also it being like the first theater experience that I can remember. And I just never get sick and tired of the movie. I mean, it just has a lot of me in it, I feel. It's got some colors, some darkness, great music, learning about martial arts and philosophies and life and family, and even the Turtles in general. They might not actually be blood brothers, but they could be adopted for all we know. But they're still family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great concept. It's like how like when we say that like we're not just best friends, we're brothers. We mean it. We really do. I mean, like my brother, he's like I don't associate with him for a lot of reasons.
I mean, like, come on, how much we ride John is pretty much how we would with our other siblings. It's
true.
Just the way we are.
And and like all the stuff that we say back and forth, we don't ever really mean it to be hurtful. We always have each other's back on here, and that's
well, fuck you both. I'm going home.
Bye.
Bye. Jeff and I are starting our own show.
Fuck you.
Also, here's another little thing that I bet you guys didn't know. The breed of turtles are red ears sliders.
Did not know that. That's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
So, little tidbit there.
That's actually kind of cool, though.
I thought it was pretty neat. So now you know what to get as a pet.
Not a snapping turtle?
No.
You can get this for free.
Yeah.
Literally.
All you gotta do is just go out to a lake, drop a fishing rod there, and hope you get one, and they'll hiss at you. And probably break your line.
I was going to say, you don't have to hope. They're pretty much guaranteed.
Ooh, they are vicious.
Yeah, they are. Especially those alligator snapping turtles. You see those fuckers?
Ooh, they're terrifying.
Holy shit!
That could have been a villain that they could have gone up against. What if it was like another turtle? Like a different breed of turtle?
Well, wait, wasn't Slash like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was like a mixture of everything, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we got a snapping turtle. I think that's where Razor came from.
Yep.
It was a Toka. I don't even know anymore.
I don't know anymore either, yeah.
The fucking turtle in the second movie was a snapping turtle.
Yeah.
Okay. Snapping turtle.
Big
Okay.
ugly bastard.
Which I kind of thought was a little redundant because it was like, don't you want something different?
Well, you think about it. What could actually go against the turtles? A bigger turtle. So you're going from a small turtle to a massive turtle. Because snapping turtles are fucking massive.
There they are.
They're fucking big.
It would make sense. Like,
They're
yo,
vicious.
all right, so you got a 5 foot tall turtle, and you got a 7 foot tall turtle. Yeah, that's fucking scary, especially with the mouth.
It's like you get a correlation with T2. You know, the T1000 and the T800 Arnold Schwarzenegger version. They're both Terminators. They both exist within the same Terminator time frame, but one is vastly superior, faster, smarter, and more lethal.
Well, the snapping turtle wasn't, smarter.
Yeah, definitely.
So
not.
that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. He was just dumb and strong.
They want the classic Hollywood route. Yeah, he's a big dumb ape.
Yeah.
Big dumb turtle.
Mama!
The donuts. I'm sorry. That'll be for another time.
Yeah. I don't really know what else to say now that we...
Well, let's finish it up with your favorite turtle. Like, why? What sticks out? You started talking about you being Raph and what stuck out with that. Why don't we finish with that?
Okay. Well, like I said, I actually saw a lot of myself in all these guys, really, because growing up, I actually participated in a lot of science fairs and actually won quite a bit of them, believe it or not. I don't practice that so much anymore, but so there's a little Donatello correlation. Michelangelo, obviously, pizza and comic books, that goes without saying. Leonardo, I have seen try to take on leadership qualities and also being a better person and trying to innovate myself as well as bring people together and try to commit myself to time and help others out and be better people or try to give good advice and take on responsibilities like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also being a leader that he is and being born later in March, I'm an Aries and that's a sign of an Aries. So I kind of see that correlation with that, even though I don't live by that and be like, oh, I believe in unsung heroes and I believe just doing the right thing. It doesn't matter what your zodiac sign is, or it's more of a feeling than feeling it's more of an internal feeling than just seeing what's on print and saying, oh, this is what I gotta be, because what if you're not? Raph, I gotta say it's because I felt like an outcast. And sometimes I felt like an outcast at home. Sometimes I felt like an outcast in public. I was misunderstood, and at the end of the day, all I was just doing was nothing. And it would just be sometimes you get a glare oh, you're weird. For what? Just wearing heavy metal t-shirts and liking comic books? What the fuck's wrong with that? Yeah. And then I get mad because it's why should you judge me when I'm not even bothering you? So I can kind of understand that anger, or when you try to explain to people how you feel and you want to let your emotions out and they're just you're just a kid, just it's what kids say, and it's no, you don't fucking understand. You feel like you cry a problem, and then even if you would sometimes go get help on a problem, then those same people that said, oh, you had a problem, well, you didn't do enough to fix it. And it's well, what the fuck? What the fuck more is somebody supposed to do at times that they don't know yet? That messes with your head and it makes you angry. Yeah. But you have good intentions at the end of the day, and it's just that stuff like that resonates with you. And it's changed for me, now that I've gotten older and I've become an adult and have my own sense of independence, and I try to distance myself from toxicity. But that's how I kind of see everybody in them. And Splinter, I gotta say, I'm always fascinated by listening to people with like great philosophical wisdom and learning to be better and always wanting to progress and be better and inspire. Because I always feel like that's such important, and we can never stop learning to inspire being better in life and hearing like what we're manipulated into, and we got to break out of that shell and see that we're being lied to a lot, and you can take something like what Shredder does by saying, "Oh, I'll love you, I'll give you all this stuff and spoil you, but I own you."
Yeah, it's manipulation.
Exactly.
It's perfect manipulation.
And then Splinter pretty much said, this is what he's doing. And it's almost like, here's the lazy way out. Now I own you.
Yeah.
But hard work ethic and good morals will get you farther. It's that, here's a little something that will get you inches when you could work hard for something and go miles. So that's how, there's a lot of correlations with that to me, and
cool.
it hits home and it really hits in the heart.
All right, nice.
Sorry if that was too deep.
Listen, I don't even know how to follow that.
Yeah, I don't think I can follow that up either.
Listen, normally I bitch at him because I can't follow him.
I steal your thunder.
I know, man.
What thunder did you have before?
Also, Raphael's red, and red's my favorite color.
Because I always correlated Raph with you, because like you always were saying that it is your favorite, and it kind of fit. I was like, cool. So I was like, all right. Now I get to see the whole circle. I was like, I get it now.
For me,
no one gives a fuck, Johnny.
You.
I can follow that.
Well, I can't follow up. I'll just give my 2 cents. But I would say, like, kind of what you were saying, Colin, that you had a relation with, in some degree, to all the Turtles, to some capacity. For me, the only one that I really couldn't relate to was Leonardo, because as a kid, I didn't feel like I had any leadership qualities. I feel like I can't relate to this guy so much, because he seems like if Splinter were to go, he would be the one to take up the mantle to be the head of the Turtles, basically. He would be the one to look to, and I was never that kid. I feel like I was never the most popular kid. I didn't have like followers, or people didn't come to me for advice. They never did. So I don't relate to this guy at all as a kid. And then getting older, taking leadership seminars when it comes to work or to how to build confidence, then I kind of grew to appreciate and understand a little bit more about Leonardo's mindset. As a kid, for me, it was always Raphael, just because, like you said, outcast. That's like the one thing that related to me. Michelangelo was who I secretly wanted to be, because I wanted to have like that goofy personality. I wanted to have those quips, those one-liners, and to be like the life of the party, embrace that inner goofball. I never had that. I was always kind of shy and timid. So that's why I kind of, lean more towards Raphael. However, as a kid, playing with the toys, I didn't really like the size, so I would always take Leonardo's samurai swords and replace them and give them to Raphael. I'm like, all right, this is my favorite turtle. Now I'm going to give him my favorite weapon. So now he can actually do some damage. Until later down the road in life, I would finally see how Sai are properly used. I'm like, all right, they're pretty badass. So let's put those Sai back in Raphael's hands. And Donatello, I feel like he never got any love and appreciation because he had a bow staff. This guy's the brainiac, he's the nerd, he's got a bow staff. What can that do against anybody?
I think he actually has more love than what we saw growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, especially now. I think everybody has an equal amount of love for them all, and you'd actually be surprised how many people do admit that are Donatello fans.
As a kid, it was always Leonardo or Michelangelo. For some reason, that was always those two that everybody wanted to be.
In the 80s cartoon, that was definitely the main two.
But yeah, now I love Donatello. I really do. But as a kid, the only one I couldn't relate to was Leonardo. Just could not. So I would take his swords and give them to Raphael. Jeff?
You were saying that no one was a Donatello fan. I have always been.
Okay.
And it's like, it was weird because I viewed him as the outcast, not Raphael, because everyone wanted to be Raphael. I wanted to be Donatello. I wanted to be the brains. And that stuck with me for years. And then I started realizing as I got older, I became Leo. And now that I'm getting even older, I'm starting to become Splinter. Which is not a smart thing, but...
You want to be a rat when you get older?
But it's like in my job, stepping up the ladder, I started realizing, I still got to be Donatello, but now that I was Leo, now I'm stepping up one more step. I'm becoming Splinter. Now I'm teaching, and now I'm trying to use my words better than, physically. And it's it's kind of a crazy thing because the whole time I always think mechanically. So it's constantly numbers, this and that. So it's Donatello fits. I never really was Mikey. He's cool and all, but pizza's good, comics are good, but I was never the life of the party. I knew that. That's why I hung out with this fucking guy. And then as an adult, I started realizing I probably realized why I didn't like Raphael, because I actually was closer to Raphael, the anger, everything. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's weird seeing it as an adult. You're starting to realize, you are these characters. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't recognize it at the time. And then it's amazing how it just correlates with us all.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of mind-blowing because, you don't realize it. Because at the time, oh, cool. Bow staff, swords, sai, nunchucks. That's all you need.
Yep. Colors.
Yeah, guaranteed someone got kicked in the dick as a kid because of this fucking...
Oh, yeah, definitely, man.
Oh, my God, yeah. I mean...
Well, you guys saw the pictures. And know about my modeling competitions and all the performing art stuff I did. My mom made me a Raphael costume, and that was one of my competitions. Yeah. The feet were big, dude.
Yeah, this movie inspired me to look into martial arts. This and Mortal Kombat, two polar opposite movies, but they had a big impact in me wanting to look into martial arts.
Also, I still want to go to Japan in the worst way. I mean, I've done research in Japan.
I'd love to see Japan.
Also, Jeff, do you remember when we were in middle school, we had, Japan appreciation? I don't know if it was the whole day or if it was a week or something.
I think it might have been a week.
And even had an exchange student come in that was actually a student teacher, I believe. I forget what her name was.
Yeah.
But she did the practices in Japan, and we had green tea. I remember that.
I still hate green tea as an adult.
I love green tea. And I want to go to Japan in the worst way possible.
Yeah. I think it'd be beautiful.
I would love to see it. I really do.
So when are we going?
2 months from now.
Okay.
When COVID's lifted.
Yeah, 4 years from now.
Fuck COVID.
4 years from now.
Just long game.
We're in the end game now.
Let's just take a boat and fuck the plane. There's plenty of space on there. It'll take forever to get there, but we'll get there.
Weeks, yeah.
Hey, I mean, we'll have social distancing on the boat. So.
We do.
Quarantine.
Yeah. Sounds like a fun time.
Go fishing.
Yeah. There's Universal Studios over there, and they got the Jaws ride.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's do it.
I remember the Jaws ride. Not in Japan, but in Universal Studios, Florida.
Before we wrap this up, so the last thing that I was going to state, we already talked about Power Rangers. Now we're talking about Turtles. Two major things in our lives. I think last year, into this year, they actually did a comic series where they finally crossed over.
And, yes.
And
I sent us pictures.
Yeah, I sent him pictures of Shredder in the Green Ranger outfit. So he gets the Green Ranger coin. And I'm like, probably the most amazing thing ever. But it was kind of cool finally seeing those two universes come together. Because, dude, it's a long time running. You would expect it would have happened sooner. I think it happened on that really bad kids show where they introduced a female turtle.
Oh, yeah, Power Rangers in Space.
Yeah.
And the
Next Generation.
Next Mutation.
Yeah. Same difference.
Yeah.
But it was one of the times where our Turtles and our Power Rangers finally crossed over, which is kind of cool.
Also, we had Batman versus Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that was
That's actually on its third series right now.
I can't believe that. That's incredible.
The second one mainly introduces Bane against the Turtles, and I don't know what the third series introduces.
I know there's been a lot of internet talk where they want to have a version of sorts where the TMNT 90s movie meets the Michael Keaton Batman 89 as a Ninja Turtles Batman.
I would think that'd be amazing.
I'd love to see that. I mean, come on. Like I said, those are my top two.
Like I said, the production designer had to have taken inspiration for Batman to get the grittiness of New York for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Had to have.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of cool seeing, our childhood starting to come together.
Yeah.
So, we talked last time about we're getting the Superman and the 89 Batman comics, so here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, remember when we were bitching about things that weren't coming to 4K?
Yeah.
And I bitched about Indiana Jones? It's coming.
Ooh,
it's
right.
So I'm like, it's kind of funny. I bitched about it, and then I just got an email about pre-order the box set. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Jeff, we heard your rant from inside your house, so we are going to honor your request and give Indiana Jones a 4K release.
Well, then they should listen to us and say, where's the TMNT 94K?
That's what we need. That's the last one.
Yep.
Because, yeah, dude, which is kind of funny. Like, all right, this is starting to get
Well,
weird.
hold on. We don't have Rocky. We don't have RoboCop on 4K, and we don't have the first Terminator on 4K either.
Which I still think is really. We got 2, but we don't have 1.
Yeah.
Give it time. I feel like they're trying to dig up everything right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, we just got that. Was it last year? We got the 4K scan of Friday the 13th.
Yes.
They also made that the extended edition.
Is Exorcist on 4K?
I don't know yet.
I
I'll have to
don't
look
think
it up.
so.
I know Psycho is. And what the hell else was it?
Those 3 you mentioned are massive surprises to me.
Yeah. Because honestly, I would love to see Exorcist. Even as fucked up as that movie
Fuck
is.
yeah, I know, right?
That in its 4K glory would be amazing. Oh my gosh. Pazuzu, motherfucker.
Can you imagine the 4K carnage in RoboCop?
Dude, shoot that guy's dick in 4K.
Your move, creep.
I'll give him a hand!
Yeah, it was just kind of funny. Like, they're starting to correlate. So we're doing this episode right after the 31st anniversary. We're about to go see it in theaters again. So it's like, it's kind of cool, like, even correlating with your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of nice.
It is.
Yep. Like I said, this movie does hold a special place in my heart for many reasons, as I mentioned. And I'm glad that, like, I'm passing it on to my nieces, and you're doing it with Thea. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that even when my oldest niece was, like, super little, you know, she was fascinated by the first movie. I remember my sister saying, oh my gosh, Addison, she loves watching the Ninja Turtle movies. And I was like, oh. And now you're saying that Thea's 2 years old and she's, like, looking at the screen watching it. I think that's amazing.
And honestly, that started because, like, down here, she kept grabbing the first season of the first series because, like, it's really bright looking from the outside. I'm like, honey, do you really want to check this out? So I was like, oh, all right. Figured might as well start her good.
And it was also one of those movies where you got introduced to the cartoon and you didn't know what it was going to look like in real life. And then when they brought it to life, it was like, holy shit, this looks like it could be real.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool, like, us growing up with the cartoon and now the movie would be, and it's really cool.
Even though it didn't happen that way for Ghostbusters, I remember knowing about the cartoon first and then seeing the live action movie. It was like, whoa. That was another, like, really wild thing to see.
I always laugh about that because, was it Bill Murray played Garfield in the live action movie?
Yes.
The guy who does Garfield's voice in the cartoon does Bill Murray's voice in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that's actually one I'm excited to talk about.
Me too. Another
Give
fun
it time.
one.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that'd be the best way to end it. Like,
I
so.
think we've covered everything and more for this one.
Yep. I'm happy to, though. I wanted to make sure that we laid everything out because I think this movie is very underappreciated, and no matter what, I will fight anybody to the day that it is still a good movie. Just because it doesn't have Oscar status or because it doesn't follow some professional critical critiques and have certain, like, psychological messages and meanings in there that some people can't find. I don't understand why the movie should be faulted for that. And if you look too into it, then you're taking it way too seriously, in my opinion.
Radioactive Turtles. Come on, people.
that'll eat pizza and kick you in the dick. That's all it really comes
I
down
mean,
to.
like, I've heard people that love horror and they say, like, TMNT 90 was a bad movie, and I'm like,
You watch horror.
Yeah.
You know what bad really is. Trust me.
yeah, believe me. I think I heard one guy say that he thought Silent Night, Deadly Night was a great movie and loved it, but TMNT is a bad movie. I was like, okay, I said...
Those are fighting words.
Yeah,
actually.
I was like,
They
yo,
are
listen,
pretty
I said...
serious fighting words.
I said some things that, like, kind of like what John said, there's a good movie in there, but that movie in general is not a good movie.
No.
TMNT is a good movie.
Oh,
It is a good movie.
absolutely.
I think it's even inspirational for filmmakers because of everything it brings to the table and the work and the heart that those actors and crew, producers, everybody put into that film when nobody gave a shit about it, even with a firestorm of a phenomenon behind it, and it became its own thing. And I'll dare say that I think it's this movie that keeps the legacy of the Turtles more alive than anything.
Yeah.
That's why we get more cartoons. That's why we get more comics. because it's this movie that just hits everybody. Hell, I posted a picture on Facebook about how I still have my VHS copy of it. I mean, the box still looks brand new, for fuck's sake.
No, my mom just found mine. It's beat.
I believe it.
It's beat, man.
Dude, my Batman '89 box I have, I don't even know how that's still alive.
I gotta dig it up.
But I know the tapes are burned.
We're talking about VHS now.
Yeah, the tapes are burned, but dude, like the things that people were saying on my timeline and the likes and the love, like, dude, this is the best movie, and I'm like, I can't get rid of this VHS because of the memories, and they're like, that VHS poster was so awesome, it was so amazing. They're like, this is clearly still the best one. It's like 31 years later,
and we're sitting in my basement talking
about it, and I can't really say too many bad things because I really don't find anything with it. And usually we find something, but
I'm gonna admit something to you guys. Like, I watch movies now to find something to bitch about because it's fun to do. When I don't have anything to bitch about, it makes me even more mad. So I'll bitch about stupid things. Like, oh man, Shredder fucking just should have tripped that bitch. So it's like, it's kind of cool, like rewatching a movie for the 950th time and not finding anything again.
That's it.
Yeah. If not more.
But yeah, it's good, man.
I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie.
It may not be a classic to everybody, but it's a classic to those who love it.
Yeah.
And in the end, that's what matters, because guess what? It's still alive.
Absolutely.
And it looks like it's going to keep living on.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my
gosh. So anyway, I guess that'll wrap things up for this session at the Asylum.
Yep.
This is Colin Peters.
John Rochetter.
And Jeff Manfred.
Thank you all again for listening. Stay safe. Stay crazy.
Please, somebody help me.
Oh, yeah.